Scott Bloomquist was involved in a pretty violent wreck with Shannon Babb in the second heat race for the Dream at Eldora yesterday. And he had some strong words blaming Shannon Babb for wrecking him, saying he was driving wild. Not only did he do it once, but he did it twice. Babb has also responded saying he did not do it intentionally. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. So let's take a look at the replay here. We're going to kind of start about a lap before the actual wreck happens because that is where I think this all kind of starts. Bloomquist had kind of fallen back to fourth into the clutches of Shannon Babb, who was looking to move forward and try and get into the top three positions there to move into the feature race for the Dream. So let's take a look at this here. Bloomquist in that black and yellow number 0. Shannon Babb in the black car right there on the outside. Cuts to the inside, gets underneath of Bloomquist, does the slider there, pulls up in front of him. Bloomquist crosses over, gets down underneath of him here, and then Babb kind of tries to diamond the corner here. It looks like it's really high up, cuts down Bloomquist with a really tough slider, and then we cut to a battle for the lead between Stormy Scott and Devin Moran, and then they double box it here, so we don't really see what happens here, but then looks like that, and then Babb looks like he comes down a little bit, spins Bloomquist, obviously flips hard into the wall, lands on his hood. So very violent accident there. I don't think that there was any kind of intentionality involved here. I think this was just a racing deal. Two guys, two veterans racing really hard, trying to get into one of the crown jewel events of dirt late model racing with the Dream at Eldora. And they wanted to get in, and they were both on the outside looking in, and they were trying to move forward. Here is another look of the replay. This is the full screen here instead of kind of in the little the double box there. So this is before all of the kind of action here. And this is heading on, down the backstretch, I believe, here. So let's take a look. You can see here Bloomer kind of pulling the crossover there. And it does look like Babb kind of comes down a little bit, gets him in the right rear, sends him into the wall, and then that's it. He's just crashes really hard. Here's another look. Slow motion. Definitely Babb coming down a little bit there onto him. And then Bloomquist just bam, really hard into the wall on his side, flipping over. And then we get the top flip here. And then, really hard crash down, fully in the air, and then flipping it onto his lid. Very, very violent wreck. And it looks like you can see Jonathan Davenport there looking on there. Here is another angle. This is kind of, we got we're looking at them coming on at us. You can kind of see them right up here at the top of your screen. I think that's Babb on the outside, and you can kind of make out Bloomquist here through the fence. Let's take a look. See how fast they're going, how fast it happens. Just brutal wreck there. And it happens like so quickly. I think that angle is really good because you can see how quickly it happens. And I think that angle there is like definitive. I think it clearly shows that Babb probably had no intention of doing it. Again, he looks like he's maybe moving down a foot on the track. And that just happened to be where Bloomquist was because he was doing the crossover there. And again, I don't think there was kind of any intention behind it. Obviously, Babb might have been a little upset because of that really tight slider that Bloomquist pulled, but I don't think he would have intentionally took him in the right rear here. Nevertheless, this is what Bloomquist had to say after the heat race here. He's on top of a hollow here. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I made a couple mistakes. I haven't run these tires that much. These guys have been running them a couple of years, and I put new right sides on, and they say you need to have tires that you've run a couple cycles on. I believe them now, but we prepared for what looked to be a pretty hooked up racetrack, and then the first heat race blew it off a lot. We were a little bit loose, but finally felt like we were going to maybe get it going. And racing with Shannon, he appeared to be driving pretty wild, but I didn't, I had no idea of anyone that on this planet. I never would have expected that out of Shannon. So, I I watched the replay a couple of times, and it was pretty blatant and not lifting and just turning left on my right recorder panel and turning me in the outside wall. So there you go. We'll get through it, and we'll be back. We'll fight again. I promise you. I really thought we'd do extremely well tonight. I know I'm not done yet. I know I'm going to win more races here, and it's just a matter of getting back going again.
Well, I see you got a little cat.
So that is what he had to say, kind of almost not immediately, but a little bit after that second heat race at the Dream. And then he kind of said this, looks like, I think, a little even later here to Flow Racing. He kind of reiterates what he said there, but let's take a listen to this as well.
So, as far all around, I didn't get knocked out. They kept asking me if I thought I got knocked out. No, I was present for all of it. So, I scraped up my hand pretty good, knocked some of the flesh off of it. Feel a little bit in my right elbow, a little bit in my left knee. Not sure about my lower back. I'd say tomorrow won't be real fun, but I'm still functional. So, we'll just take this one. Really, one thing I didn't like, is when you get lined up out here, and the track looked like it was going to stay real heavy, and I had this car set up pretty much for that condition. And you see the first heat race take off, and after so many laps, I needed to make a number of changes. I had new right side tires on. They had been through a couple of heat cycles really for the condition it went to so quickly. Just the way the cards fell. I felt really confident. Felt like we had no problem, getting in the race, and I really felt confident about winning this race tonight. Ain't really sure what Shannon was thinking there. As it looked like after watching the replay, looked like he just finished me off and never cracked. And I don't, it's not something I would have expected out of Shannon. So it's really just another day in paradise. How's that?
Glad you're okay, man.
So that is what Bloomquist had to say there. Again, obviously kind of putting the blame on Shannon Babb, kind of implying that he did it intentionally, and obviously kind of surprised and shocked that he did that. Obviously, I don't think he did it intentionally. I think it was obviously a racing deal. I think these guys were racing really hard. They weren't giving each other an inch. We saw that Bloomquist with the really tight slider on him just a lap earlier. And then obviously we kind of missed a little bit of what happened because they cut to that race between Moran and I think it was Stormy Scott there racing for the lead in the heat race. So we missed a little bit of what was going on there, but clearly they were running really hard for each other. They weren't giving each other an inch. And unfortunately, they both ended up in the same spot. I do think it looks like that Babb came down just slightly, and Bloomquist happened to be there doing a crossover, and that's what ended up sending him into the wall. Again, I don't think there was any intention on Shannon Babb to do that. I think it was indeed just a hard racing deal. And this is what the official Shannon Babb Facebook page had to say. This is not Shannon Babb actually speaking. It says this is Emily. I assume that is his wife. But it says here, I'm going to start off by saying we are all thankful that Scott is okay after that wreck in our heat at Eldora Speedway. This is Emily, and I'm going to speak for Shannon right now and say that incident was not intentional at all. He has nothing but respect and admiration for Scott. Always has, period. If you have anything hateful or offensive to say, including threats to him, myself, or to our family, take it elsewhere, because I'm sure no one feels as terrible as Shannon does about what just happened. And then it kind of gives an update on Shannon's how he was doing during the Dream. It says Shannon finished fourth in heat race number 2 and will be starting in a B main shortly. I believe he did eventually end up qualifying for the feature. I'm not sure exactly. I think he ended his night early in the feature and finished towards the rear of the field there, if memory serves. We've also had a couple of other people kind of chime in here. This is what Gordy Gundaker had to say over on X. He's responding to a post from Joe Duvall. And Duvall says, some of y'all need to check yourself. Babb is one of the good guys. And then Gundaker says, retweet a million times. Any of you saying Babb intentionally wrecked Scott have either lost your mind or are just truly stupid. So I definitely do not think that Babb intentionally wrecked Bloomquist. Like I said, I'm going to repeat myself again here. I think it was just a hard racing deal. They're running fourth, fifth. They're just outside of the transfer in a second heat race. Bloomquist was on the pole, faded back a little bit, but he said that the car was kind of getting a little bit better there. And you could see that he was dueling with Babb. There was actually some really good racing until it ended in that violent wreck. And it's possible if he was able to work himself around Babb, he might have gotten up there, competed with Stormy Scott, got up, maybe competed with Devin Moran there for that heat race win. But that's just not how it happened. But again, I don't think there was any intention. Good hard racing, and they just ended up coming together there, fighting for that fourth position, and Bloomquist ended up in the wall. But those are my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys make of this. What do you make of the accident? Do you think that it was Shannon Babb's fault? Do you think it was hard racing? Do you think it was Bloomquist's fault? Let me know what you guys thought about this. And then let me know what you make of what Bloomquist had to say there, putting the blame on Shannon Babb. And then also kind of obviously getting a little bit frustrated with how they managed the track there. And then I guess kind of his a little bit of inexperience with the tires, basically kind of getting back into what dirt late model racing is in 2024. So let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.